Okay, hi everybody. I'm wearing my mask today as allergy season has arrived in Japan in February. Excuse me for just a moment. Welcome. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, an exercise that I do each and every day, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and the opportunities that I met, plan for the coming day, and I prepare myself for death. Now, just welcome to those new subscribers that are new to my channel. This is not a Japan-related video, although I'm in Japan. This is a Japanese convenience store called Lawson. I'm at the south entrance of Kusanagi Station. Hey, anybody, if you want to, you can come join me here. I'm usually here about 5:30 a.m. every day here in Shizuoka. This is, like I said, this is not a Japan-related video. It never is. Anything that you see that says on my channel, The Good Life, and has the little sunshine, that's those videos are in pursuit of my personal ambition towards living well. So Japan is incidental to that. Also, I want to give you a disclaimer. Anyone that watches this, I do talk about controversial or sensitive topics. I talk about death. I talk about my lack of belief in deity. I talk about suicide sometimes even. So be forewarned, heavy topics sometimes are covered here. All right, so first let's have a cup. I've got, this morning I'm enjoying the Emerald Mountain Blend from Georgia. It's very good, very sweet. I am typically a black coffee man, but I do like these on my mornings. It kind of gives me an extra boost. And I do want to thank my Patreon members. I said there were 2 new Patreon members joined yesterday. Welcome. And I want to thank my YouTube members and the viewers of the channel for your support, because you basically bought me this coffee, and I appreciate it. Let me have a bit of that. Now, this was just last week. This was 102 yen for a can. Today it was 132 yen. Now, 132, I think they made a mistake, because the red can, the morning shot, is usually 132. But I don't care. Well, it's not that I don't care. That didn't come out right. It's worth 132. All right, let's jump into it now. I can speak with a little more liberty. There's no one here. At least for now. If I duck my voice down, it's usually because someone has sat down next to me. There's a seating area here. The konbini is currently empty. Okay. Excuse me while I attend to my nose. Okay, let's begin. So first, my Good Life meditation, I'll do 3 things. I'll talk about the last 24 hours. I'll see how I did with the objectives that I set for myself yesterday. I'll go over the 8 objectives of my creed, just to touch them, to make sure they're foremost in mind before I begin the day. And then I'll talk about the plan for today. First, yesterday. My goal for yesterday was simply to make 2 trips to the city dump to get rid of burnable items that were from the new house that we bought. I thought that 2 trips would be easy to do, so I thought I was being conservative, and it's a good thing that I was. Or conservative isn't the word. I was setting the bar low for myself. It turned out I did 3 trips, plus I did another trip to the local community, like recyclables, paper recyclables, where you can deposit books and magazines and stuff. I could have taken them to the burnable place, but that is the place that exists too. The dump, so to speak, the incinerator is what it really is. It's a giant structure that looks like a giant office building on the other side of the valley here in Shizuoka, about 18-minute drive from our house. It's a big, complicated, well, it's a big, sophisticated affair. I mean, you drive up to it, and it really looks like a big factory with a giant smokestack. There's never any smoke coming out because it carefully scrubs all of the chemicals somehow, and it just, you don't see anything coming out, but there's a perpetual burning fire in there, and then all of the combustible waste in the city goes in there, and they use that heat then for various purposes, energy making, and they also use it. They built an onsen called Urara right next to it, and they heat the water from the flames of the combustion to run the onsen. Isn't that a clever use? So you can go to the onsen and enjoy hot water from the burning of the city waste. I went twice. I'm very familiar with the routine, which has not changed since the 10 years when I left Japan. The reason that I'm familiar with it is that when my business failed in 2018, or was it 2008? Yeah, 2008. I had an office on the Minami Kansen Street near where we live, and I had to close that office. And I had 5 years worth of office supplies, shelving, all kinds of stuff that I couldn't get rid of. So I had to take it to the dump and dispose of it. Now, they did take the metal items, the metal shelving, the very expensive metal shelving, although I couldn't burn that, of course. I had to leave that in another spot. And during that roughly 1 month process that I dismantled my business, I must have made 12 or more trips hauling stuff in my little car to that dump to dispose of things. So yesterday, making my trips by myself, I made one trip prior with sister-in-law Yoko, but making the trips yesterday was kind of an emotional experience that I didn't expect, because it was like walking a pathway that I had previously walked as a consequence of failure, life failure, my business failing, losing all of my family's money. We were literally broke, on the verge of being homeless. So even I had a small child, elementary school. My daughter was in elementary school. My wife wasn't working. My businesses had failed. I had no income, and money was all gone. Plus, not only gone, it was all, I had, went into debt to try to keep the business afloat. That was a really dark time. And driving that drive to the dump to get rid of all of the costly infrastructure of my business that it cost me so much to build that nobody would even buy from me, that I had to just get rid of at the dump, was an additional humiliation. So that period was a dark period for me. And yesterday, driving that same route with the stuff from our new house to dispose of that, brought back that haunting feeling. Although I met it with the temperance and I could maybe use the word maturity that has come from pushing through the other side, right? Going out of that dark period, climbing back up, getting work here in Japan, humble as it was, and slowly finding my way back to America to, climb the ladder of success there. I did succeed in America. I did manage to climb to the top of my career there and do well, and, reposition my family in a position of stability and safety. So driving down that road again, was like course back the circuits of that old feeling, but it was just a melancholy look, back, because I was so far removed from it, now that I'm on way on the other side, So that was interesting. I did that three times. I made 3 trips to the dump, and I started to make some friends there, the men that work there, I told Miko the fellas. I told them they'd see me today, and they will. So there was that. So the only objective I had for myself, the only goal that I had for yesterday's work was 2 trips to the dump. I made 3 plus a bonus 1 to the recycle center. Achieved. Now, the thing that got me though was allergies. Now I'm really pleased that I'm really susceptible to allergies. That's not what I'm pleased about, but I'm really pleased that this experience in Japan, when I'm feeling the allergies effect, there's a little cycle running in my brain that's remembering this is allergies and I'm not sick. When this would happen in Japan, when I lived here before, I would always forget that I'm susceptible to allergies, and I'd go half a day thinking, oh, I'm sick, I'm really getting sick. And then go, oh, no, you just got allergies. But now there's a little, in computer world, we call it a demon process running, not with pitchfork, but a background process running saying allergies, it's just allergies. So okay, I'm not sick. I can power through, and I'm starting to wear my mask again, so I'll wear this all day, except for now. But yesterday, the allergies really they were literally like a wet blanket on the day. Wet blanket is just because I'm an energetic person. I have a lot of fuel and energy, and the fires were flaming yesterday because I was doing so much. And then this wet blanket of allergies just on everything. But I kept my resolve, and I did the things I set out to do. There was one other thing that was kind of a challenge that and I hope I don't sound too self-congratulatory, but I'm experiencing things in Japan that 10 years ago would have sent me off my footing. I would have lost my balance. And I'm experiencing these things again now, a decade later, after writing Going Alone, after having all the experiences and working hard to develop the Good Life Creed. I'm experiencing things that are more like little mosquitoes buzzing around than, line blackers knocking me off my feet. So here's one. There was two of them that happened yesterday. One was the restaurant. I chose, because we were really tired, we had a busy day, I suggested that I seen, as I was coming back from the dump, an okonomiyaki yakisoba restaurant that I didn't know existed, which is like okonomiyaki and yakisoba are like regional foods from the Kansai region of Japan, Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, and down there. I really like those foods. I used to live down there. Yumiko and I lived down there together. And I saw that. I thought, a little hearty okonomiyaki would really be a good dinner after a hard day of work. So I suggested to Yumiko, let's go do that. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Allergies. So I suggested that we do that. A good hearty I knew that it would make me feel good because I know how I react to okonomiyaki. We went. And the restaurant was a real disappointment. In fact, I don't think I've ever recalled a restaurant experience like that ever in Japan where it felt like a dump. I mean, it didn't feel clean. It felt old and run down, and the staff were, disconnected. It had robots, so you didn't really have to deal with anybody. You never saw anybody. And Yumiko nailed it later. She said, Kurt, the problem with this place is that it's going for an izakaya vibe. But if you're going to have an izakaya, which is a Japanese, like a party bar, you need to have part of the staff need to participate. They need to be running to the table with a "Hi, irashaimase," and taking your order and calling it back. And it adds to all of it. There was none of that. It was just the button on the thing, and then the robot came and delivered the food. And we couldn't figure out initially why the okonomiyaki was just 400 yen, like $3 for. An okonomiyaki is a hearty meal. It's usually big, and Yumiko said it's going to be small, and it was. So we ordered two of them. So 800 yen, like $6 and they were tiny little things. So we cooked. I was disappointed then, but I kept it all inside. Now, in the past, I would have made sure to broadcast that to at least my spouse. She would have known that was the case. But I was like, in my mind, and I was actively doing it. I was like, okay, Kurt, this isn't living up to your expectations. And I thought, but this is beyond my control. The decision was made to come here. I'm the one that made the decision, the recommendation to come here. I'm going to push through this. I won't come back here again. Push through this, and I'm not going to soil the evening for my wife. But things turned around after I cooked the okonomiyaki, and it was delish. And so what I again, utilizing my creed, I said, okay, what is not within my control, what is within my control? And I did a quick calculation in my brain, and I was thinking, I was ready to pay 1,200 yen for a good okonomiyaki meal. Each of those servings of okonomiyaki were 400 yen. I thought I could order 3 of these things, 1,200 yen, and it'd be more than enough. So I ordered another one and an edamame. And Yumiko ordered yakisoba. Now, Yumiko is much more stoic than me. She's able to just push through this stuff naturally. So she had no problem with the place. I don't think we'll be going there again. Although I told her in the end, the food was good. Now that I know what to expect, I would go there loaded with him in mind. She even pointed out something good. She says, the way the portions are so small, you could get an okonomiyaki and a yakisoba, or 2 types of okonomiyaki, and enjoy like the seafood and the pork type. Good point, Yumiko. And they had beer. The beers looked good. It wasn't those. I saw the dude down the way. He got a beer, and it wasn't those, little lady, excuse me, ladies, little lady beers. Little beer, little glass of beer that's 3/4 full. It was a man's beer. I was like, this got good beer too, cheap too. So I thought, I'll come back here. Yeah. And I felt great after I had the okonomiyaki. It did the job. So that was another instance where I didn't let the internal disappointment, the dialogue that was going inside, the frustration compounded by the allergies, surface, because I didn't want to spoil the experience for my wife. And I knew also that, as the Stoics say, adversity, if you can call this adversity, you'll either survive it or kill you, right? Make you stronger or kill you, right? So we got through that, and we had a nice time. The second thing was, after that, we went for a long dog walk in the evening with Yoko, and I felt horrible. I mean, I was exhausted from the day. The allergies had me just destroyed, and I get up at 4 a.m. So by 8:39, I'm finished every day. I felt just terrible. I mean, it was the most challenging point of the day. And Yoko and I, my sister-in-law Yoko and I, she usually walks Ollie, and I walk Rudy, and Yumiko, my wife, follows along. We have a routine that as we close in on our apartment building, we have a race at the end. And we'd race to see which of the 2 dogs, and we encourage them, and we go along, and Yumiko's way behind. So I determined, 10 years ago, feeling as crappy as I did, I wouldn't have said a word. I would have just quietly marched on. Everybody would have gotten the vibe that I'm not in the mood for a race. But, the new me, the better me, I think, said, okay, I feel like crap, but I want the dogs to have fun, and I want Yoko to, I don't want to, smear my yuckiness around. So I stepped forward. I said, okay, here we go. Come on, Rudy, let's go. And we had a race, and I felt good. Ollie won, as usual. But we had a good time. And it just sounds like a small thing, but this is the type of thing that 10 years ago I wouldn't have been able to do. I would not have been able to rise above that challenge. Now, it's fairly easy to see these things coming or see them happening in the moment, like remembering the demon in the background, the daemon process, running saying allergies, Kurt, you're not sick, allergies, in the back of my mind, because I keep my creed, I keep my objectives current, and I have my principles. I'm always addressing life and dealing with it in a principled manner. That's the right way to say it, if I do say so myself. Yesterday, therefore, was a rip-roaring success, because I completed everything I wanted to do, and I faced down my lesser self, the lesser man that I used to be in this same circumstance, and he didn't have a chance. Now, that doesn't mean that there's other things, but more and more, it's becoming harder for anything to get me. Of course, some great illness might arrive. I may get cancer or something like that, and there's lots of trials that can come, but just the run-of-the-mill, day-to-day pedestrian trials of life don't seem to really faze me much anymore. Now that I've completed my career, completed my book, raised my daughter, reached closing in on 40 years of marriage. All these things, it's like, it feels like, like it's all done, right? So the stuff the issues now are not capital issues that are going to keep me from climbing the mountain. I'm at the so-called top of the mountain. It's just clouds now blocking the damn view. Who cares? I'm on top of the friggin' mountain. So good day yesterday. Okay, let's go over my 8 objectives real quick, and then I'll talk about what I'm going to do today, and I'll get started. Boy, just wearing this mask down here, I feel so much better. I wore the mask during the walk. I feel so much better. Okay. The 8 objectives of my creed, and you can look these up if you want. They're on my book, Going Alone, and you can go to goingalone.org. The whole book is there for free to read. There's a chapter titled The Good Life, and The Good Life is the codification and description of the 8 objectives and 35 principles that I use to live the aforementioned attempted good life. So the 8 objectives, the things that I'm striving for, this is what I want to do, the man that I want to be today. Is 1, I want to be a man who's always ready to die. This means I want to have my affairs in order, my relationships sound, and my life's work in a state of readiness, or if not complete. So I have to ask myself, and I ask myself this every day, is that the case? Are my affairs in order? Bank accounts are in good shape? Yumiko is my beneficiary for everything. Emily has her college degree paid for. She's off having her life. Yeah, I got to do my 2024 taxes, but there's always taxes. Yeah, so my affairs are in order. Are my relationships sound? Well, I think so. I don't have anybody with sour business with, but I do have my mother, who is a perpetual challenge to have a relationship with. But I'm doing my best in terms of proffering the opportunity to have a relationship to her. But can't make the horse drink, right? So yeah, I think that my relationships are sound. And is my life's work complete? Well, like I said, I raised my daughter, I wrote my book, and I completed my career. So yeah, I think so. I am ready to die. I don't want to die. I've got things I still want to do, but I'm prepared. 2, to make good, this is the 2nd objective, to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste the day. Did I make good use of the day yesterday? I sure did. It was a very good day. And I have good plans to make good use of today, beginning with rising early and being actively engaged in life, not letting the day pass by without me being amply lived. My 3rd objective is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. And the active word there is develop, right? I'm not the type of man that wants to adopt pre-made values. I wanted to do the hard work in life of developing my own. It doesn't mean that they all came, I didn't think them all up, but my studies and research and reading have helped me to identify 8 objectives and 35 principles that I've codified as the good life. So yeah, I maintain those and I think about them every day. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to make myself into someone who reacts well when I don't feel well, like I did yesterday. I reacted well at the restaurant, even though I didn't feel well. I reacted well with the dogs, even though I didn't feel well. I'm reacting well now, even though I don't feel well. Although I'm feeling better moment by moment, so that's good. Number 5 is to perform good actions. These are actions, making decisions and performing actions in accordance with my personal values, which are namely to further the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures, reducing suffering, improving the pleasure of life, not without undue impact on others, basically furthering virtue. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I know what is something that I can reach and what is beyond my reach, so that I don't expect more out of life than is possible or capable or reasonable. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time, to do the thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully, just as I'm speaking these words right now. That way I don't rush through things and I don't stumble as much or take my life in haste. Lastly, maybe in some ways the most cumulative of my objectives is to maintain my balance. This is important in both body and mind, so that when the unexpected strikes, I'm not I easily put off my footing. Like yesterday at the restaurant, as soon as I walked into that restaurant, I knew that I wasn't going to like this place. It wasn't clean by it was clean by Western standards, but it wasn't clean by Japanese standards. My expectations are very high. It was a dump. and I knew, crap, I'm not going to like this place. But I had my equanimity. I couldn't be put off my balance, and I rallied my reason and my efforts, and I put on a good face, and I made a good meal and a good experience with my wife out of it. Likewise as well then yesterday with the dog thing, right? All right, so then that's it. Those are major objectives. Lastly, and I do keep a list if you're curious what I'm writing. Every day I make a new page. Here today is the 4th day of January 2024. I give every day a name. This is Allergies Begin Day. And then I have hour by hour breakdown of what I'm doing today, all the way till 9 a.m. when the day begins in earnest. So the hours from 4 to 9, what is that, 5 hours? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 hours every day of really dedicated, focused time. By 9 a.m., I've already squeezed in more good living than normally in a full day. So even if the rest of the day kind of goes easy, I've already squeezed a lot out. So that's my list, and I have one every day. So today's goal, I'm again keeping with the theme of setting my sights reasonable. We've completed the upstairs at the house. It's move-in ready. Now we're working on the downstairs. Yumiko has been working on the logistics of getting furniture movers. We're not furniture movers, appliances removed. The old refrigerator, the old washer machine, and the old air conditioning units in the house need to be removed. It's complicated to do that. The first step is you need to identify the make and the model of everything. Then you go to the post office and you register to have these things removed. It's like you're telling the city, I've got this, Mitsubishi refrigerator, model XYZ, and I want to have it removed. I want to have it recycled. And they'll give you kind of like what's on like a revenue stamp. They'll tell you what the cost is for the recycling. It's very reasonable. All of the aforementioned items, it's like less than $100 US to have the city, properly recycle these things. It's another thing though to have a service come and remove them from the house and take them to the city recycling center. Yumiko is working on all that. It's very complicated. You should see the paperwork. And it's not a matter of saying Mitsubishi refrigerator. It's got to be down to Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi will have like 5 different subsidiary companies that make refrigerators. You've got to identify which subsidiary company, the model number. The form is like so complicated. So she does all of that. So she's been doing that. She did all that yesterday, and I joined her with that. I took her to the post office for that. So that's one thing she's working on. The other thing she's working on is having the home inspection. Home inspection. Did you already buy the place? Yeah, we did. But we want to get the home professionally inspected so that we can know what we're facing, right? So termites, mold, asbestos, structural issues. So she's contacted an architectural firm that will come out and perform the home inspection for us. We did this with the Machiya house. Remember, we almost bought a house in Shimizu, an old Machiya style house. And we had that place inspected by the same firm. And it was the inspection that persuaded us to not buy the place. It just needed too much work. It was in bad shape. So why didn't you have the second place? I mean, if the inspection's so good, Kurt, why didn't you have the second place inspected before you bought it? Because the second place was too much of a gem in perfect neighborhood, right within our budget, in the top of our purchase budget, but right within our budget, and it looked good. So we just decided to take a gamble. So we just didn't want to miss this house. So we got it, and we this is again setting the expectations, being more mature, saying we're going to buy it, we're going to forego the inspection until after the purchase. This means we have to accept and live with whatever the consequences are of that inspection. So we're having she's arranging to have the inspection done. That'll be another Juman in roughly $700 or so. So then the last thing is to have a mover. She's scheduling to have movers, and we picked the 25th of February, which is a Tuesday, to move. Have movers come and move our refrigerator, washing machine, and air conditioning unit from our current apartment to the new place and set everything up. Don't know what that'll cost. I think it's going to be like another $500 or something like that. Anyway, Yumiko's taking care of all that, and her dad has a minor surgery today. She's taking care of her dad for that, so I'm on my own today. I'm going to work on that living room, maybe take another trip to the dump, although that's not guaranteed. I'll be happy if I can just get the living room clean. And that's it. That's my good life meditation for today. I've covered the last 24 hours. I've gone over my objectives, and I've prepared for the coming day. So one more time for the day. I'm going to finish here. I'm almost done. I usually give myself until 6:30, so I've got still another 25 minutes. I'll finish this, put my mask back on, and then go through, edit some photos, and clean up the photos from yesterday's video on the phone, and then traipse on home to my wife. By 7 o'clock, we'll take the dogs for a walk. Again, mask in on my face. And by 8 o'clock, we'll have breakfast. And by 9 o'clock, I will get to work. Okay, let me see if there's any comments. Lots of them. Hey, there's April. Hi, April. Morning, good to see you. Good to see you too. Andy. Hi, Andy. Good morning, Kurt. Finally catching you live. Good to see you, Andy. Thank you. DB Capo. How you doing, John Gotti? You look like George Bush. Okay, George Could says, someone called my name. I came as fast as I could. Act 98006. What was your business? I was an IT project manager before I retired. April says, what a push to make you look back on your struggles as a youth to see how far you've come. It also shows you how even when you hit rock bottom, it's a learning experience to bounce back and grow from. Indeed. April goes on, I recently got into making okonomiyaki, but I make Hiroshima style because my mother-in-law is from Hiroshima. I can't really get used to the Kansai style texture now. Strange and scary New England. Hi, I remember you from yesterday. Hey, Kurt, can't say stay, but wanted to pop in and say hello. Hope your allergies clear up. I have the same issue certain times of the year. See you later, Cole. Oh, are you Cole from Discord? Probably. April goes on, I don't have the issue of saying what I don't like, but my face betrays me. My husband hates it, but he thinks I hate everything because I don't like what he likes. April goes on, my husband lives in this mask when allergy season hits. His mom sleeps in hers too. I might start sleeping in mine. April goes on, I definitely need to work on 6 to 8 myself. 6 to 8. Don't know what that means. Yes, Act 98006 is January. You mean February? Yes, thank you. I meant February. April goes on. Wow, people always make it sound like it's so expensive to take stuff to the dump. I don't look forward to the appliances disposal bureaucracy either. Yeah, well, I'm really amazed that the burnables are free. So I just drive up, park, load everything into this giant conveyor belt. It's very ominous, a conveyor belt to this giant incinerator, and off it goes. April goes on. Sounds like a plan. Blue Tanuki, hey, from Discord. Hi, Blue Tanuki. Know the business you closed. Oh, okay. So the business I closed was an antique business. I was selling Japanese antiques online. Did well for 5 years until the economic collapse of 2018, and people stopped spending from abroad, and my business shut my business down. Ad Astra per Aspera says, the meaning of life is to fight to survive. It gives us happiness, too, when we win. I think you're onto something. April goes on, from the good life list for today. Oh, okay. 6 to 8. 6 to 8. Well, let's see, there's 8 objectives. Oh, I see 6, 6 to 8. So that would be to recognize true limits, do one thing at a time, slowly, deliberately, and carefully. No, perform good actions, and balance. Okay, so working on those. Got it. Thank you for the clarification. I should have figured that out. I think Andy says, I think 6 to 8 are your objectives. Got it. Thank you. Yes. And Tin Top says, you are dead on about foregoing the inspection of a house that checks all your blocks. Even if it had some inspection done, it may still miss something large. Yeah. The house was just hit all of our marks so well. And I think I've mentioned here before that we made the offer. Full price offer, at like 8 o'clock on a Sunday. The seller accepted the offer because it was full price. There's no contingency. Full price, no contingency. They accepted within 30 minutes, and 30 minutes later, an above full price offer came through from another buyer. So if we had waited, or if we had made the offer less than full price or contingent on anything like an inspection, then they might have just gone with it, because the realtor said the other seller was like give us a chance, and the other buyer was like, give us a chance, and the seller's realtor, who I got to meet because he was there to show us the house, and we got along, and he was like, sorry, it's been sold. So we're glad, even if the place has, even if we find asbestos in the roof or termite damage or whatever, we'll accept that. We'll deal with it. April says, a lot to do with limits and reactions. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's, yeah. Boy, isn't that a tricky one? Recognizing what is and what is not within our scope of control, right? Like going into that restaurant yesterday and realizing that what was in my scope of control was deciding to go there. It was my idea. Well, what was also within my control, what was out of control, was the state of the restaurant. But what was in my control was how I reacted to it, right? 10 years ago, I would have made it very clear to my wife, I didn't like this place. I wanted to get out of here. And probably we wouldn't have left, and we would have had a miserable time because I would have made it miserable. That's within my control. But I decided instead that what is also within my control is to make the best of the situation, to lean into it, see that the food was really good, just what I wanted, and to order another one, and to realize that even if I ordered 3, I was still within the budget that I wanted, and I expected to pay for the damn thing. And they had a good beer, even though I didn't order a beer. I was having a sympathetic enjoyment of that dude's beer, that dad 2 tables down. So you're right, April, recognizing those limits and then the good emotional reaction to go along with it. Daily practice, and pointing those out like I do in these meditations. Remembering yesterday, here's the things that ambushed me, and here's how I reacted well, or here's how I didn't, goes a long way towards preparing me for today. April, Act 98006 says, what happens if the inspector says you have problems? Well, then we have problems. then we deal with them. We identify what the problems are. We prioritize. This is me exactly answering how I would deal with it as a project manager. We would identify what the problems are, make an assessment of the relative priority of those, which of them needs to be addressed, if at all, and then come up with a plan to, identify what needs to be addressed and how to do it, see how it fits in with our budget, and go forward. So thank you, project management training, for helping me to do with that. And then the other thing that goes with that, Act 98006, is, as April was pointing out, good emotional reactions. We have no leg to stand on in getting upset. Let's say that the inspection comes back and the superstructure is full of termites and the roof is asbestos everywhere. Not going to get upset about that, because we chose to buy the house as is. So simply recognize the reality. The worst case could happen is that the inspector comes through and says the place is haunted by malevolent demons. Well, then we just stay in our apartment and don't live there, and then just walk by once in a while and wave at the demons. I mean, the worst that's going to happen, right? April goes on, the inspection is so expensive, though. It is a good thing they really find everything. Ours in the U.S. was a lot cheaper, but I feel like it missed a lot. I still love my house, but My hubs wants zero DIY. That's how I was feeling yesterday. I was feeling like your hubby yesterday. Um, After I told that to Yumiko, I said, damn, I'm really glad we didn't buy one of those old farmhouses, that, we have to take down, because we watch these DIY videos and these young 30-something people, they're like, they buy this old house and they take the whole floor out. It's just dirt. And they take the wall down and they even take the mud out of the wall and recycle the mud and they rebuild the whole thing. It's like, I don't want to do any of that. I'm having a hard time just going to the dump twice. I think Yumiko was a little disappointed in me yesterday. She's like, we're still going to do some of that. And I'm like, yes, we are. Yes, we are. And so I was reacting a little extreme. So like your husband. April goes on, and you were pleasantly surprised in the end, at least food-wise, even if the vibe was off. Food was fantastic. It was just what I remembered of living in Osaka and enjoying the okonomiyaki. It was, Scott, and the food was so good. It was delicious, and it made me feel good. I felt good afterwards. So I would definitely go back there. Now I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what to expect when I go in there, and it's cool. You took the chance, so you can't really complain. That's right, April. Act 98006 says you already have given notice to your apartment landlord. We have, yes. So I see where you're headed there. Let's say that we don't, the inspection comes back and it's just terrible. Well, we just find another place. Or we just tell our landlord we're going to stay. So it's a buyer's or a renter's market now here in Japan with the population situation and the amount of houses. Like the place that we live in now, it's a great place, but we got it at a super discount month to month. They threw in free internet because there just ain't enough people to live anywhere in these places in Japan. Whole apartment buildings are like empty because there's just nobody to live in these places. So we would have zero problem finding a new place. In fact, I'm confident that we could go back and say, change our mind, and that'd be not a problem at all. Or hire a priest from the local shrine. Demons. There you go. April goes on. I've learned a lot about one thing at a time from the DIY house. LOL. Got it. And you're welcome. Act 98006. All right. Well, I gave myself to 6:30 to do this exercise. A full hour, and it's 6:17, so that's just enough time. If I end now, we can do the aforementioned preparation of the videos on the phone. So I'll wish you all nice. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your questions. April, Act 98006, Analog Andy, Blue Tanuki, Springs, and that would be Cole, George, DP Capo. I wish you all the best, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.